So I try to, yeah, okay, so it's on top of the gum thing again. So many times this thing fell off when Violet and I did this in Detroit.
How'd that go?
Well, the first time it was a little nerve-wracking because I wasn't sure if we lost the footage. And we didn't, thank God, because we did not want to talk about Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse for a second time. It was hard enough remembering what we'd even talked about before. But then it happened like a couple other times, like it just kept falling off here. And that at least would tell me like when to put the commercial break in. Like, okay, I'll put it in where the camera fell, because the video's already split anyway. Unless it happens like 3 minutes in, then I should probably wait.
I'll try not to jiggle around.
Yeah. I know that was... No, you're fine. It was always me that always knocked it off beforehand. So, alright, so we got out of Creed, and we went to go see Creed, because huge Rocky and Stallone geeks.
Huge.
So, yeah, we were dead set on seeing Creed tonight. Other stuff can wait.
Yeah, to tell you, I can remember the first time I saw the first Rocky, June 12th of 1977. So I actually remember the date.
Yeah.
The last two have been so emotional. Why do you take me to these emotional movies?
Emotional movies?
Oh my God. Rocky 6 was just so emotional. It was so good. To me, much more emotional than the first 5. And now Creed, it's the same thing. It's just, matter of fact, we had to drive around a little bit because I had too much of a lump in my throat to even be able to talk.
I had a lump in my throat through most of this movie.
Yeah.
When this movie was first announced, just when the concept of it was announced, like nothing had been shot or anything like that. It was just like, in talks now, Creed, about Apollo Creed's kid. Upon hearing that at first, I was like, really? Are we really gonna do that? Because 6 to me was a phenomenal end to Rocky's story. Between standing at his wife's grave at the end, turning around, waving back to the camera, getting in the ring one more time. It provided a damn fucking good end to that saga, and then the montage of everyone running up the steps during the ending credits. So because of that, I'm like, 6 was a really, really great finale. Like, are we really doing this? But then, the director is announced, the cast, everything, it's reading more like it's, Rocky as a main character, his story is ending here with 6, but now we have this spin-off film that is as much, if obviously not more so, Adonis Creed's story, but also Rocky's too, like, because this isn't just a cameo or anything. Rocky is a huge focal point of this film. But also, after fucking Grudge Match,
that was so
dear
bad.
fucking Christ, am I all about this fucking movie?
It was bad, but as I was telling you earlier today before we went to this, I love Sylvester Stallone so much that even his bad movies I can sit through and watch, and we named a couple of them. I don't know if I necessarily want to name them, but even the ones that are just bad, it's still him. It's still Sylvester Stallone.
I will go see.
I still love him.
Oh, there's not a time in my life that I don't have, that I don't, I can't remember a time where I wasn't aware of Sylvester Stallone or Rocky. You talk about going to see it in 1977. For me, Sylvester Stallone and Rocky have just always been there, and I'll be a Stallone geek till the day I die.
Yeah.
He can turn out whatever, I'll still be there opening day. And there are a few, and it's usually his comedies where even I'm kind of like, I can't do this. Not saying I didn't see it, because I was fucking there, and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot when that came out in the theater. But I don't rewatch that. Most of his comedies I couldn't really get behind. But other than that, even like his action movies that are by and large considered to be like not his greatest action films, I can sit down on just a quiet day and just pop in like Over the Top, Cobra, Rambo 3, Tango and Cash, Daylight, things that are usually considered to be like not among his best action movies, but I still love.
Nighthawk.
Nighthawks, I think, is one of his best movies. Like, Nighthawks, hands down, I think, is one of his best movies. And I mentioned Over the Top earlier. I think Over the Top is aged perfectly fine. I rewatched that recently, and I had the fucking time of my life watching that movie. The great thing about Stallone movies, and why even if it's just you got Stallone and you got just fighting a bunch of motherfuckers, goddamn, Stallone can write a great fucking villain in his movies. You got Stallone just facing off against all these motherfuckers. Stallone movies, they work in like the really fun ones that get you just pumped up and on the edge of your seat. They work like in the same way as like a rock like power ballad. They just get you just want to like fucking jog and just like it just gets you pumped up. It just gets you full of energy, and he's so entertaining and so good.
After I saw Rocky 2, oh my God. You weren't, of course, born yet. I came home, hopped on my 10-speed, and took this great big long bike ride.
Yeah.
And I had the music from that movie in my head. I mean, because he'd won, and oh my gosh. He's a good actor no matter what he's doing. And tonight when we saw Creed, I think I saw some of his best acting and some of the most believable scenes I think he's ever done, for me personally. When he was talking about if he could have just one day back with his wife. You know, he just...
And why he didn't want to fight cancer, because he saw his wife go through it, and he didn't want to do that. This is... You're right. This is among... I've seen every Sylvester Stallone movie, and this is... this is the best acting he's done since Rocky 6. And even he has great scenes in Rocky 6 where he's talking to Paulie and they're visiting all the spots that he and Adrian went to.
When they go to the ice rink.
They go to the ice rink. They go to the ice rink and you know, he breaks down in front of Paulie and he's crying. There's great work like that in this movie where he misses his wife and everyone around him is gone, whether it's Paulie now, Adrian, of course, Mickey, Rocky 3.
His son's gone to Vancouver with his girlfriend and living his life up there.
I was surprised. I don't know if I'm surprised, but it's interesting how there wasn't, unless I missed it, there wasn't a reference of Screw You Creepo girl from 6.
I thought about that.
Yeah, who was a huge part of 6.
In that movie, yeah. I thought about that. Not even a reference.
No, and I you'd think that could easily be put in somewhere, especially with Rocky going through cancer, because that was a really good dynamic, I thought, in Rocky 6.
I'm just glad there wasn't. Because the point that he was trying to make in the movie that everybody was gone, I don't think he could have made that point with...
No, that's true. That's true, and I think that's why I'm saying, it's not that I'm surprised she's not in this, but there are certain scenes where she could have been put, especially with Rocky thinking he's gonna die and things like that, or maybe just some reference to the character or something.
Little
you know,
Marie, that was her name.
That's Marie. It. Yeah.
Marie.
But this is it's a simultaneous story of Adonis Johnson, Michael B. Jordan, who never knew his dad. His dad's Apollo Creed, and his dad had an affair, and he was the product of that. And he knew Apollo Creed was his dad, but they just never knew each other. Apollo Creed died before he was born, and so at the beginning of the film, you see he's this troubled youth, and he's in juvenile hall. He gets in fights, he gets arrested, and Felicia Rashad is Apollo Creed's wife, and after Apollo dies, she ends up taking him in. And he's got this pretty good life, you know, he's living a pretty wealthy life with Felicia Rashad, but he's just got that in him. He wants to be
There's
his.
so much anger. He's got anger from being abandoned and not knowing his father, and going from juvenile hall to juvenile hall, and just having a bad life. For the short span he was just a kid.
But also he doesn't want to he's not like a celebrity brat or anything like that. He doesn't want to, he adamantly tries hard not to, he doesn't want people to know that he's Apollo Creed's kid. He wants to make a name for himself as a fighter.
Yeah, Marianne raises him. He keeps his name. He has a good job. He's a white-collar guy.
Yeah.
And, kind of on his nights off and weekends and whatnot, he's boxing in Tijuana.
It was a little Fight Club-ish in that first scene there.
No, it
where
was.
He's fighting, and then the next day he's working in an office and has a shirt and tie. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're watching most of the story, and it's feeling like he's, he wants to envision that his dad could be proud of him, certainly, and he also wants to make a name for himself just on his own. Because at first he's not even using the name Creed, and he only has to when he has to. But by the end of it, you find out that it's more of a story that he wants to prove that he wasn't some kind of mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Just a mistake that could be, brushed off, and it was just an affair. I have no responsibility for this, or whatever. But I liked Felicia Rashad as Marianne. I did when she was first walking in the juvenile hall, and somebody says, "Hi, Marianne." I'm like, okay. And then you see it's Felicia Rashad. She's so pretty.
Yeah.
She is aging so, she's not aging. She's not aging. When we were headed out of the theater, I said that she still looks like Claire Huxtable.
Oh, that opening scene when it's 1998 and she's going in there like, wow, did they just film Felicia Rashad in 1998?
I know it, for thinking, well, maybe
and I spent
17 years later we'll be needing some footage of you.
Yeah, right. And at first, he has a love interest in the movie, Adonis Creed does. And it's, for a bit of this movie, at first I thought it was fucking Zoe Kravitz.
I thought it was Lisa Bonet.
That's what I mean. Like,
God. She's pretty. The girl did a good job.
They have really damn good chemistry together. Whether he's talking about his fighting and she's talking about her music, and you learn a lot about this character who has a progressive hearing disorder where eventually she's going to be deaf, but she's very passionate about music and trying to get as much in while she can. Their scenes are great, and there's wonderful little stuff in this, like the three of them all having like a Thanksgiving dinner together. Like they're just this family. It's Rocky, it's Adonis, it's the girl. They're all so good together, and this is just a fantastic piece of filmmaking, and my God, am I really glad this movie was made. This is easily, this will be one of the best movies I've seen all year.
The workout and training scenes were great. They were just so great, especially the dramatic music was just fantastic. It was not unlike all of the music from all six Rockies.
No, but it's
with the chime and
and it's given its own identity though, because this is Creed. I mean, it's Creed. It's mainly his story. So while you do have the little pieces of music that, like for instance, Rocky finding out he's got cancer, and a little bit of the music kicks in with Creed and his music in it. It's like this remixed spaghetti western music, and it's so cool. Like his training montages, they feel they're unique to this film. It's not, they're just doing another Rocky movie again.
Yeah, it's not like they just took all that music. It's you could just hear sounds of it, like that great chime when you heard in all six Rocky movies. I mean, it was just there. You hear that in this, but like you were saying, they didn't just take off with the typical not the typical, but the original music from the Rocky movies. They made it itself.
Yeah, it's not like they start training and then like
Right.
Gonna Fly Now starts
Exactly.
playing or
That
something
doesn't
like
happen.
that. No, but
Their workout on the
Yeah.
bags, those scenes were great. I mean, just and the supporting cast, like the cut guy, Stitch, and his training team, they were good.
and what it does when it does play the rock, it picks the perfect moment to start playing the Rocky theme.
Yes, it does. So be prepared to get that lump because you will immediately go, especially anybody who's like my age or either north or south of my age who's seen all six,
I've seen them. What was the first one that I saw in the theater? Did I see? Okay, so it wouldn't have been. It's probably 4. Someone's texting me. Sorry, I'm using the phone as a light right now. I think it might have been 4 was the first one I saw in the theater. 4 wasn't the first one that I saw, but it going to Rocky himself. It's more than just like, oh, Rocky shows up halfway into the movie and he's only in it for like 20 minutes. It's not that at all. He actually shows up fairly early on in the movie, and it becomes a story about like how, Adonis, he's training to fight in the ring, but it also becomes, between the two of them, it also becomes Adonis's story of him fighting, but also Rocky fighting cancer in the film, and like neither one of them can do it without each other. Rocky is doing it because Adonis says, if you don't do this, I'm not gonna train. I can't do that. I can't do this with you sitting here
Essentially dying. And Rocky making peace with, for example, probably thinking that he let Apollo get killed. And wishing that he's still saying, I should have stopped the fight. I should have stopped the fight. I mean, we heard that several times. So they were both working through so many issues from their past while working together on issues they have right now.
At the end when Rocky says to him, he never got a chance to thank his dad when
Mickey died.
When Mickey died and Apollo took over training for him, and him wanting to call the fight because he didn't when he was too late in doing so when in 4 when Apollo was fighting Drago. That would have been something in this movie if they really started talking about Rocky 4 and they're like, well, Apollo died, but if you think about it, it's what helped stop the Cold War.
Oh my God.
James Brown was there.
Oh my God.
I love Rocky 4. I fucking love Rocky 4.
We saw 5 together in the theater,
Yeah,
right?
we did. I saw
and
5.
Of course, 6.
Oh, yeah.
Had you seen 6 before? We saw it together?
I saw 6 opening day with my dad, and then when you and I went to go see it, I had seen it, but I was all about going to see it again. 5 I saw in the theater a couple of times, not because I liked it that much.
It's my least favorite.
Yeah, this movie has elements to it that 5 tried to do. This movie doesn't. Wow, to say that this movie does it better is an understatement. But in that, like, Rocky, he's not a fighter anymore, and he's taking on a younger fighter and is more the trainer figure, which is what 5, did 5 did that, but ended up, with George Washington Duke and also in a street brawl with Tommy the Machine Gun. But 5 is worth it for George Washington Duke. Touch me and I'll sue you.
Sue me. I don't have anything. Sue me.
Sue me for what? And the street fight at the end was pretty cool. But, like, I saw 5 in the theater twice, but only because, like, I saw it with my dad, and then, like you had wanted to see it, so I saw it. because of that reason, there was a lot of horrible. I wouldn't say Rocky V's horrible, but like, there's a lot of horrible movies I saw in the theater twice, like for that reason, because like. I saw Caddyshack 2 in the theater twice because of like me and my dad go see it, and then you're like, I haven't seen Caddyshack 2 yet. We should go see that. I'm like, I've seen it. Do I have to? So I Stopper My Mom was shooting the theater twice. I don't know. Maybe I saw a different movie beforehand, and this is the real Stopper My Mom was shooting.
Yeah, one thing that was kind of cool about this movie, which, you know, Stallone does it in all of his movies. He's got the fedora on. He's bouncing the ball. He's bouncing the ball. And one question that was asked and answered that I don't know that I ever thought about was who won the fight at the end of Rocky 3.
I kind of felt like you still sort of don't know.
I know.
Because I feel like even if Rocky had won that fight at the end of Rocky 3, he's not going to tell his kid, Adonis, like, it was me. I kicked your dad's ass.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
That scene was great. It was just great because there'd be a question, you know, and Rocky'd be like, how do you know that? And he was like, I know about the secret fight. And then it was just one question after another, and it's like, oh my God. Rocky's
first scene in the movie, too. And it is a really good follow-up to 6 as well, because he's still running Adrian's restaurant.
Which I liked.
Yeah, he's still running the restaurant. When he visits Adrian's grave, now Paulie's grave next to it, he's got like the chair up in the tree like he had, and he sits down and he puts a little thing of whiskey on Paulie's grave and just sits down and reads a newspaper and is like, all right, let's see what's going on in the news today. I mean, it's a great little scene, and Sylvester Stallone, this movie deserves so much come awards season. I mean, for me personally, it is one of the best movies I've seen this year.
It's going to be fun to see what gets nominated. I mean, the music was good, the acting was good, the writing
direction,
was. I don't know
the cinematography.
Anything that.
There's a fight scene in this movie that's like one take, and it's this movie is a stunning piece of filmmaking, and for and screenwriting as well. I mean, it's the first time Stallone hasn't been credited as a writer on one of these, but I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think of a Stallone movie where he didn't have some input somewhere on the writing of it. I'm sure there was probably a little input here and there going on this movie. It's his character, so why wouldn't there be? But this movie absolutely gets the Rocky character. It gets this universe. The casting is phenomenal because Michael B. Jordan is an amazing actor. Even in a terrible movie, Michael B. Jordan will be the best part. And he is the first
thing I've ever seen him in, unless you can tell me otherwise.
At least you saw Fruitvale Station.
No, I didn't see it.
That awkward moment, that was bad. The Fantastic Four was bad. But he wasn't bad in those movies. I mean, especially, Fruitvale Station's a damn good movie, but same director, I believe. But he is believable as Apollo Creed's kid.
Oh yeah, because there was a mention of a resemblance. For me personally, if I stretched, I could say, okay, there was a little bit of a resemblance, but very believable that was his son. Just, I mean, the build more so, you know, than like his facial features.
Do you think it's going to get a lot come award season, nomination-wise?
I don't know. It can't. I mean, it's kind of like you were saying earlier, you know, if the Academy doesn't give Stallone an Oscar nomination for this role, it's going to be just because they're snobs.
No, I agree.
I think that even the music.
Yeah, the music, the direction, the film
writing.
itself. If Sylvester Stallone doesn't get a nomination for supporting actor for this, it's wrong. It is wrong if he doesn't get a nod for this.
I think it's some of the best acting I've ever seen him do.
Yeah, it is downright snobbery if he doesn't get a nod for this. And it's wrong if Michael B. Jordan doesn't get a nod for this too, and so many other things about the movie. I hope this movie does well. I really hope it does. It's from what I looked at on my phone, it's going over fantastic with critics, and this seems like it would be just a really crowd enthusiastic film, like a really crowd pleasing flick.
Yeah, there was a decent enough amount of people at the opening tonight for a Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a chilly Tuesday night for the opening of a film. But he's so believable as he's not. Stallone has just aged Rocky so well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes characters are not the writing has not aged them very well, and they're not believable. But you just truly believe, and me looking back at almost 40 years ago when I first saw the first Rocky, from young, just young single Rocky before his wife and his family and everything, and getting this great shot to fight Apollo Creed, and watching him just age and become this famous star up into this guy pushing 70, just kind of aging, running his restaurant. It's so seamless and so perfect and believable.
And how Rocky, and just the arc of his character in each one of these movies, what they all deal with. The first one, where he's just this guy, he's given this shot to fight this champion, and then the second one where he starts becoming a bit more famous because of it. He gets he gets commercial deals, and then he's like, you know, he's settling down, he's having a family, but he's doing stuff like buying fancy cars and shit and the jacket. And then there's the third one where he has to be humbled quite a bit because he is now the champion. He thinks he can fight this Clubber Lang guy because Rocky is the champion.
Beating everybody else.
He's beating everybody else. So 3, you have a movie about this guy who has to be totally humbled and trained to get the eye of the tiger back. And 4 is just a fun piece of 80s, like,
end of the Cold War.
Cold War action film.
And then
5 is the worst one of all of them. But 5 you have a movie where he loses everything, and he goes back to his
old neighborhood. The kid, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
The kid has to go to just a rough public school and, you know, fight his own battles within the school, and they're kind of broke, and Adrian's got to go back to work at the pet shop and all that kind of thing. And
yeah, so there was the themes. That movie dealt with those themes. 6 deals with reflection. He's lost his wife. He's reflecting back on all these years and just the little moments, like their date and telling stories to people who come into the restaurant. And then you have this one, which has him dealing with death. So you see, it isn't just you're seeing the same guy doing the same thing in every movie, other than most of them, you know, have a fight at the end of them. But there's just different personal struggles that he, or in this case him and Adonis Creed as well, are going through. And this movie easily goes along with some of the best of the series. The first one, the 6th one, and this one. And then there's the ones that are also great, but you just gotta have some fun, like Rocky 3 and Rocky 4, which are just fucking awesome. So
there we go.
I hope to God this movie does well, and I couldn't possibly recommend this movie enough. Like,
go see it.
I highly fucking recommend it.
Go see it. It's a holiday weekend coming up. Just go.
Get your family and go see it.
Take the kids.
Yeah, take as many people. If you're a Stallone freak, if you're a Rocky freak, yeah, of course.
You're gonna be there anyway.
You don't need me to tell you to go see it, but even if you're not, this is a great film.
Yeah, and there's no part of you that should be disappointed on any level with any of the acting, any of the writing, especially not especially, but including the training scenes and the background music to those training scenes. It's just believable, every bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, those are my final thoughts on it.
Mine too. Run.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Go.
Just
Take the day
jog to
off
the
work.
movie theater.
Yeah, just run. Because when you get out, you might want to run home. So what's next? What are you going to see next?
Oh, I'll be back tomorrow with, I think, Good Dinosaur and Victor Frankenstein.
Right on.
Or as I sent Sarah a text earlier, The Good Frankenstein and Victor Dinosaur.
Well, thank you. I haven't gotten to do one of these
yeah.
with you for a while. I'm
Hell
back
yeah.
for a little while from LA, so this is fun.
Oh, always. Most of the time, anyway. Depending on the movie. But this is a great
This
one.
was fun. This was fun.
See ya.
Bye-bye.